Hi, I'm Seth Rosenbloom, and we are going to take a deep dive into the B.B. King song, The Thrill Is Gone, which was released in 1969 on his record Completely Well. So I've broken this down into the lead guitar part as close as we could get it to the original version, as well as a lot of the rhythm parts and fills from the original. You're going to get a real sense of BB's style of guitar playing. We have a lot of bends here. We have a lot of great lead lines. So if you're ready to go ahead and learn The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King, grab your guitar and let's get started learning this awesome song. Okay, so let's jump into the rhythm guitar for Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King. And now, this is the rhythm guitar part that I would play if you're playing at a blues jam, if you're playing along this with a friend, if you're just jamming on it. It's going to give you the chord progression, it's going to give you a cool part to play with that chord progression, but it's not necessarily what was on the original, because most of the harmony and the chords on the original are coming from the piano and then the strings. So what we have here for Thrill Is Gone in terms of the form and the chords, it's a minor 12-bar blues in the key of B. And so our chords that we have here are going to be B minor 7, so we need this voicing, where I'm playing my second finger at the 7th fret of the low E string, then I'm actually, with the underside of it, I'm muting the A string, and then I'm barring the D, G, and B strings with my third finger. And I can play that either all together, or for this, I'm playing it separated with the root and then the top of the form. And what I'm doing for the one chord there is I'm playing this little riff. So that other part, in response, we have a little slide from the 7th fret to the 9th fret on the A, and then the 7th fret on the D. So, and we have that for 4 measures. The form of this song is easy because it is the same 12-bar blues form the entire time. We have no intro, nothing until we get to the vamp at the very end where it just stays on the 1 chord. But once we get to the 4 chord in the form, we're going to play this shape for an E minor 7. So I'm just playing your standard like E minor bar chord at the 7th fret of the A string, but lifting up that pinky. And I'm just adding a little rhythm to it of... And you see I've kind of that theme with the chords where I'm playing root and then the rest of the chord. And it just adds some contour to it. Of course, we have that for 2 measures. When we go back to the 1 chord, we're going to play that same rhythm motif we'd been using.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this song lesson. But did you know TrueFire has over 400 song lessons for you to choose from? Sound off in the comments with the song you'd like to learn next. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to it.
Now we get to the turnaround. Thrill Is Gone has a unique turnaround. It has a sharp 5 major 7 to 5 dominant 7, but often gets played as like either sharp 9 or flat 9, so an altered chord there. But for that sharp 5 major 7, that's going to be a G major 7. And so I'm playing that up here at the 10th fret, my second finger at the 10th fret of the A, first finger at the 9th fret of the D, fourth finger at the 11th fret of the G, and third finger at the 10th fret of the B. Add a little rhythm to that. Then I go to an F sharp dominant 7 with a sharp 9, often known as the Hendrix chord. So that I have second finger on the 9th fret of the A, first finger on the 8th fret of the D, third finger on the 9th fret of the G, and then my pinky on the 10th fret of the B. And I play that, and then I end up going to an F sharp 7 flat 9. And all I do for that is I pick up my pinky and then bar my first finger across the 8th fret all the way to the B. So I'm getting this. I do leave my third finger on the 9th fret of the G. And then I end up going back to my 1 chord. And in the 12th measure, I don't do that little slide. I just have the 1 chord there. So all through, here's what I'm playing. That takes me through the form, and that stays consistent all the way till we get to the vamp. So basically the form of the song, we have the intro solo, then we have 2 vocal verses, middle guitar solo, 2 more vocal verses, and then outro solo, and then vamp. So after the first time through the outro solo, we just then all the way to the end repeat this part of doing. And we have no chord changes. It stays on the 1 chord the entire time there. So let's grab our guitars. We're going to practice this together, and then you're going to play along with the band all on your own.
thrill is gone away. You know you done me wrong, babe. You'll be sorry someday. Thrill is gone. It's gone away from me. The thrill is gone, babe. The thrill is gone away from me. Although I still live on, but so lonely I'll be. The thrill is gone. It's gone away for good. Oh, the thrill is gone, baby. Gone away for good. Someday I know I'll be open armed, baby. Just like I know a man should. You know I'm free, free now, babe. I'm free from your spell. Oh, I'm free, free, free now, babe. I'm free from your spell. And now that it's all over, all that I can do is wish you well.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this song lesson. But did you know TrueFire has over 400 song lessons for you to choose from? Sound off in the comments with the song you'd like to learn next. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to it.
All right, so let's dive into the solos from Thrill Is Gone. Now we have 3 solos. We have the intro solo, we have one in the middle of the tune, and then one at the very end. And one of the tricky things about Thrill Is Gone with any of the lead parts is that at certain points, especially later in the tune, because of how the strings are mixed and how high they're mixed, we almost lose some of the lead parts where there are certain notes that if you listen really closely, you can almost hear ghosts of them, but that you can't clearly discern what they are. The intro solo very clear, the middle solo decently clear, but it's especially once we get to the outro. So I'll take you through all the parts, and a lot of this with a tune like Thrill Is Gone, you want to be used to the original, used to how BB played it, and then also get used to playing along with me so that you get a sense of where everything fits, and then you should be good to go. So let's dive into it from the intro. And this is in the key of B minor, and a lot of what we're doing is right out of B minor pentatonic. So to start, we start on the root, just 7th fret, high E string with some vibrato, and then he plays that again staccato before he jumps into the rest of the first line. So the first line sounds like this. All right B minor pentatonic. So I'm starting there. I have that microtonal bend at the 10th fret of the high E. Whole step bend at the 9th fret of the G. We work our way down to the D and then go back up to the G and then sit on that root at the 9th fret of the D before coming back up. And we bend that, and then the first introduction to what I'm talking about of notes that are there, but you might not always notice, are then he plays 7th fret on the B and E at the end of that line, but they're much lower in volume. So all together. And I try to, when I'm playing them, back off those notes a little bit, make it a bit more authentic. Then the next line, we just have this kind of 3-note little lick on its own of. So whole step bend at the 10th fret of the high E, release it and work our way down to the 7th fret of the high E. And then the response to that, this is a tricky little line. So it's a pretty long line there, and to get those bends right, basically what we're doing is we're shifting up to the second position. We start on 12th fret of the B, and then we're playing kind of consecutive rising notes of. And to really nail that, you want to listen to the original, listen to me do it in context, because on its own, it sounds kind of strange, and if you're trying to learn that in a vacuum, you're almost counting how many bends and where, but when you hear it against the rhythm track, it starts to make a lot more sense. And then coming from there, we have over the turnaround, so we've gotten up to, we've played. And then we go up to the E string and play this lick, which is one of my favorites. And again, those last 3 where we have that same thing repeating, you almost don't hear the middle one. So that, we're going up 12th fret on the high E, bend up a whole step, release it, and then come down to the 10th fret, hammer on to the 12th from the 10th fret, and then we have 10th fret on the E, 12th fret on the B, and we do that 3 times, but you only really clearly hear that first one and the last one, and that takes us to the end of the intro solo when we put all that together. So now we get to the middle guitar solo, and start this one off. We're going to play a pickup at the 7th fret of the B, going up to the 7th fret of the E, that root there. And then we respond to that with this line. We shift up to the second position of the pentatonic, play this 10th fret on the E. So just 10th fret twice, 12th fret and then going down to the root at the 12th fret of the B string. Then we respond to that similar phrase. So we're right in that area of the neck, and then again, all right in there. And this is some of the genius of B.B. King, and a lot of old school blues players, where they make the most out of just a few notes. If it's not like we're flying around the fretboard there, we're right in that position of the pentatonic, but there's a ton you can say there. Now from there we get one of the classic BB-isms, where we're coming up an octave to the 19th fret, and often with these you're also getting the octave below, so at the 16th fret of the G, and where you're just getting that stab, he does it twice. And then comes right back down there, where comes back to the 10th fret on the E, whole step bend, down to the 7th fret on the E, and then this little descending phrase. So pull off from the 10th to 7th fret on the B, and then going to the 9th fret on the G. Here's where we start to have a little trouble hearing the notes for a few, where he basically comes down the pentatonic, so 7th fret on the G, 9th fret on the D, and then works back up, and we start to have that reappear there with that ascending phrase, and then and we end right like that. So it takes it through there, but we lose the notes for a bit, and then it reappears as it kind of climbs there. Again, learning Thrill Is Gone, one of my biggest tips to you is to be working with the track and to do a lot of listening. Because the more that you do that, the more that all of this is going to make sense in context. So now we get to the outro guitar solo, and this is the one where stuff really gets difficult. And not difficult in terms of the licks we're playing, it's actually somewhat reminiscent of the intro solo and the middle solo. I think that probably the most difficult of the three solo sections here is the intro, and I only say that because whether you're playing it at home, whether you're playing it on a gig, although when I play this on a gig, I usually improvise the solos, but it's the one that everyone knows. That start of Thrill Is Gone, it's one of those tunes that you hear that first note and you're like, oh, that's B.B. King, the Thrill Is Gone. This outro solo, we have the strings so hot in the mix that it does get a little tricky to hear all of the guitar lines. So it starts similar to the middle solo where we have a pickup, but this time it's... So we're in first position here, 7th fret on the B, 7th fret on the E twice, and then we go up to that same note just at the 12th fret of the B, and end that phrase on the 10th fret of the E with a little bit of a squeeze to it. Just take it give it a little attitude. And then the response to that, we have... Again, right in that area of the neck. So we're not moving around, we're not using a ton of notes, but there's a ton of stuff that you can phrase with just in that area. And he stays right there for the next phrase. Now here's where we get to where it gets a little harder to hear. So then when we start to lose it, he's playing in first position there, and we don't hear all those notes quite as clearly. He comes back up to second position and plays this line over that G major, over the turnaround, which we really do hear. And then ends there, and we hear all that. So it's this strange thing where you'll notice that I tried to reflect dynamically what's going on in the original, but it's tough because you can hear there are certain notes there, but they're not the clearest. So it's all about using your ear. And then we end kind of this section. And then we get into the vamp, where it starts just vamping to the end. And he has this theme for a couple measures where we have... So we're just bending that 12th fret on the high E, letting it go, 10th fret on the high E, 12th fret on the high E, then 12th fret on the B. Then the next measure, if you really listen close, it almost sounds like he plays a note like at the 22nd fret, one of the just staccato ones, but it could be a string player, it could be keyboard play, it's hard to tell. But then he goes right back to that same motif of... So a nice response to that previous line, then goes back up to that octave, but stays on it for a while. And that's very clear, and then comes back down to... So has those bends at the 10th fret just in first position of the pentatonic there. And then again, we get to where certain notes we can't hear, certain notes we can hear. And I tried to approximate that the best I could. Of you get these where you really hear them go. And you lose certain parts of it, but basically it's holding a bend at the 10th fret of the B and letting it go just a tiny bit, bringing it back up. And then we get to where it's kind of anyone's guess for a bit at the exact lines, because we'll keep hearing things like, or, but there are notes in between. We don't clearly hear them, so just rely on your ear, rely on the transcription and all of that to put it together. And then once we get past that, we get into this section where basically we hear these whole step bends at the 7th fret of the G. I'm playing them with my first finger. You could also shift and play them with your third finger if that feels easier. And then he goes to where it's bend at the 9th fret of the G, so upping the energy a bit. And finally, one bend at the 10th fret of the B, and then goes back till the fade with just the bends at the 9th fret, at the 7th fret of the G going up to the note at the 9th. So it's a tricky end solo. It's one where I don't know that anyone, and this is probably BB included when he was alive, could actually play it exact note for note on the record, because so many of the notes end up below the strings in the mix, and it's just hard to hear exactly what's going on. So I did my best to give you the key licks there that make up the solo, and tried to get the attitude and the essence of what's going on. So once you've gone through all this, grab your guitar and let's practice this together, and then you'll have all the tools to take it to the track by yourself.
And now that it's all over, all that I can do is wish you well.
Okay, so now we're going to dive into the fills and the rhythm section of Thrill Is Gone. So you'll notice from the performance, this is extremely sporadic in there, and a couple reasons there. First of all of the guitar parts, as we've talked about, are doing more on here than you actually hear. But because the strings are mixed so high, you have the keys mixed so high, a lot of stuff just gets covered by other instruments and we can't really discern what notes. Maybe we hear a kind of ghosting of a note, and there's no different here. So starting from the top, right into the first beat, we play that B minor 7 chord, and we're sliding up to it from B flat minor 7. So the fingering here, I'm playing the 6th fret on the low E with my second finger, and then barring the 6th fret across the D, G, and B with my second finger, and then taking that and just sliding it up to B. So starts off, we have that pretty straightforward there. And then to the 4 chord, you just hear kind of that single note when it reaches the 4 chord of getting the root of that 4 chord, so the E at the 7th fret of the A string. Then on the turnaround, it's arpeggiating like a G major and then to like an F major chord, more or less. So we have for the G major, you're hearing that 3rd fret on the low E string, and then 4th frets on the D and G, and then you're just hearing that second fret on the low E string, keeping that 4th fret on the D. And it's one of the notes you can't really tell if it's there or not, but the 3rd fret on the G, that 3rd there, you hear in there as well. And then, right at the end of that intro solo, we have a really cool line. And it works in sort of counterpoint to the lead line where that dies down and then we have this come up. So that line goes like this. So it works its way up to that root once we're at the top of the form when the vocals come in. Then in those next measures, we get a couple little slide licks that fit really well. So the first one we hear is just... So I'm just on the 7th fret of the D and G. sliding that up to the 9th fret of the D and G and pulling it back. Then the next one, same idea, but just on the G and B. And then the big one there is where we're taking this shape where I have my first finger on the 7th fret of the D, third finger on the 9th fret of the G, and fourth finger on the 10th fret of the B, and I slide it up where now we're at the 9th, 11th, and 12th. Then up to the 11th, 13th, 14th, and then end up back on the 9th fret on the D string with my first finger, and the 12th fret on the B with my fourth finger, ending that phrase there. Now the next that we have is once we get going into the final vocal verse, and leading into that, we have a tiny little fill which just goes leading into that final time. So I'm just playing 7th fret on the B and then the high E. Now these you really do have to listen to the recording because they almost seem totally at random when you first hear them. So there's no way to say practice this in time with a metronome and then take it to the track. And then these others, we have these little stabs. So the first one after the first vocal line, we have that where I have 9th fret on the B and then 7th fret on the high E. Then the next one at the end of the next vocal line is just 7th fret on the B. And these are very staccato, cut off. And it almost sounds like they probably, for these, left BB's guitar on, and he was just kind of playing throughout the whole song there. We also have some fills, which are really hard to discern there. And then the final one we have there before then it leads into the end solo is just 9th fret on the B. So we have these little staccato notes there that there's almost no context for, but they do add something and they do work. Then the final thing we have is once it gets to the vamp section where we're just hanging out on B minor, we have this rhythm guitar under which plays this. And again, the timing, you've got to take it to the track to really get that timing, but what I'm doing is 5th fret, that flat 3 on the A string, 7th fret on the A string, the 4th, slide up to the 5th at the 9th fret of the A string, and then end back on the root. So, and we're doing that kind of every other time, every other measure or so, you'll get that timing well there. The one other lick that I threw in, and it was hard to find the exact placement of it, but you hear it clearly in the original, is you hear the rhythm guitar player, who probably an LA session guy, play this line where I'm going up at the 12th fret with my 4th finger of the high E string, then pulling off chromatically of the 11th, 10th, 9th fret on the high E, so, and then playing 10th fret on the B, 11th fret on the G, 9th fret on the G, and then 12th fret on the D, and then 11th fret on the D. So we have that little jazzy line in there, and these are all, I did my best to get this as close as possible to the original, but the truth with a lot of these is, with how the guitars are recorded and how loud the strings are in the mix, it's hard to exactly hear when certain guitar parts stop, when they end, and if there are just notes that are hidden under the rest of the arrangement. But this gives you all those pieces of the rhythm and the fills that are discernible in there. So once you've gone through this, grab your guitar and let's practice it together, and then we'll take it to the track and you can play it by yourself.
The thrill is gone away. The thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away. You know you done me wrong, babe. You'll be sorry someday. Thrill is gone. It's gone away from me. The thrill is gone, babe. The thrill is gone away from me. Someday I know I'll be open armed, baby, just like I know a man should. You know I'm free, free now, babe. I'm free from your spell. Oh, I'm free, free, free now, babe. I'm free from your spell. And now that it's all over, all that I can do is wish you well.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying this song lesson. But did you know TrueFire has over 400 song lessons for you to choose from? Sound off in the comments with the song you'd like to learn next. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's get back to it.
Okay, so I put together this easy guitar part for Thrill Is Gone to get you up and running along with the track. And first thing we have to talk about here is the form of Thrill Is Gone. So it has a consistent form all the way till the vamp at the end where we just stay on the 1 chord. We're in the key of B minor here, and we have a 12-bar blues, but with a little twist from a normal 12-bar blues. First of all, it's minor, and second, we have a sharp 5/5 turnaround, which is a little different. So what we're going to have here is we're going to use all power chords to play this, and we're going to start off with a B power chord. So 7th fret on the low E string, and then 9th fret on the A string. First finger on the E string, 3rd or 4th finger on the A string. And we're going to play that for 4 measures. But we're not going to strum every 4 measures, we're going to play it every other measure. So at the first measure, and we let it hang for 2 whole measures, and then again for the 3rd and 4th measures. Now, at the fifth measure of the form, we go to the 4 chord. In the key of B, that would be E. So we play an E power chord, and we're going to play the one, just a string set down. So first finger at the 7th fret of the A string, and 4th or 3rd finger, one or the other, at the 9th fret of the D. And again, we're going to play that for 2 measures, but we're just going to strum it at that 5th measure and let it hang for those 2 measures. Then we go back to the 1 chord for 2 measures, and again, we're just going to strum it once for those 2 measures, so starting there on the 7th measure through the 8th measure. Now we get to our turnaround. Sharp 5. In the key of B, our sharp 5 is going to be G, so we're going to play a G power chord, and we're going to play it up here at the 10th fret of the A string with our first finger, and the 12th fret of the D with either the 3rd or 4th. And that's just for 1 measure, so for 4 beats, and then we slide it down a fret, so our first finger is at the 9th fret of the A, and our 3rd or 4th is at the 11th fret of the D, and play our 5 chord, which is F sharp power chord, for 1 measure. And then to end the form, we're going to play the 1 chord, so back to B, for 2 measures. And again, we're just going to strum it once and have it ring for those 2 measures. So if I played the form all the way through, it would sound like this. And that would take us to the end of the form. So we play that through the intro solo, first 2 vocal verses, first big guitar solo in the middle, then we have 2 more vocal verses, and then the outro solo. Now the first time through, the outro solo is over that form there, but then it goes to the vamp where it just stays on B minor. So for that, we're going to continue similar thing to what we've been doing, but we're just going to strum that B power chord every other measure. So same kind of pacing as we've done, and we take that all the way to the end of the tune. So now that we've run this through, grab your guitar, let's practice this together, and then you'll be able to take it on your own and play over the track for Thrill Is Gone.
The thrill is gone away. The thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away. You know you done me wrong, babe. You'll be sorry someday. From me, The thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away. You know you done me wrong, babe. You'll be sorry someday. Thrill is gone. It's gone away from me. The thrill is gone, babe. The thrill is gone away from me. Although I still live on, but so lonely I'll be. The thrill is gone. It's gone away for good. Oh, the thrill is gone, baby. Gone away for good. Someday I know I'll be open armed, baby. Just like I know a man should. You know I'm free, free now, babe. I'm free from your spell. Oh, I'm free, free, free now, babe. I'm free from your spell. And now that it's all over, all that I can do is wish you well.
That's all for this session. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell for more lessons in the future. Make sure you check out the other lessons on our channel, and don't forget to head over to TrueFire.com for the full experience. We have synchronized tabs, jam tracks, and a massive library of courses covering all topics a guitarist could ever want to learn. Until next time.